Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Today we have my top tips and tricks for blasting the new Illuminate fleet. So lighting this off, we'll dive into the new Fleshmob enemy. This thing can be a massive bullet sponge if you're not ready for it, and sometimes you'll blow the whole front half of it off and they'll just keep charging at you. Just don't panic and keep blasting, because when it's missing that many pieces, it's almost dead. If you do need to hard counter them specifically, the Eruptor can like 2-tap them if you get front and back shots, but normally it'll take 3. I found this and the Scorcher were the absolute best removal for them, because you can kind of just shoot wherever you want and not think about it. They're also extremely weak to fire, which is super thematic that they made one of the best counters for zombies' fire damage. So prime them with either an incendiary grenade or laser before you start blasting, and it will exponentially increase your kill speed on it. Just be careful, because it's a bit smarter than it looks, and it'll actively try and run around the fire to get to you, but it won't avoid gas. This is also my personal preference for locking them down, and I really think that combining taking damage with any direct fire is the best way to deal with them. You really don't want to let these stack up, because when there's a bunch, things can start snowballing out of control extremely fast. Also, just W-king with the machine gun, HMG, or laser cannon works insanely well by just blasting them straight on. And if you're using a precision weapon, I found the fastest way to kill them was just to aim for the heads while you're blasting center mass. But no matter what you do, you want to avoid wasting things like explosives on their legs. I found they just flat out ignore things like Cluster Strike altogether, so I'm assuming that these are explosive immune, and I had a way easier time just blasting in the chest with something like the GL. They also won't stop charging at you if you strip the leg down to the bone, and when we compare shooting it in the leg to shooting it in the body with the HMG, leg shots ended up being about the same as chest shots in terms of magazine size at the bottom left. So I think that you should just aim for the large mass, because it's way easier to shoot the vast majority of the time, and I found that the leg should be super twitchy or get covered up if it isn't in a wide open space, and it can be fairly hard to hit if you're not locked in with guns with horizontal recoil. Just make sure that over anything else, that whichever one you pick, you're not splitting damage between the two, because that's where you start running into problems. It also does have a bleed out animation, but I'm still like feeling it out when you can stop shooting it, so that'll be in the in-depth guide later on when we have advanced stats. And when I was testing its legs, the thought came up, like, what if you shot the legs out and it fell over and charged you using its hands as legs? Like some sort of crazy Japanese horror movie. That shit would like haunt my dreams. It also doesn't do that, thank God, but like, it would be kind of cool. I'm just saying. Anyways, this thing has 2 attacks to look out for. The charge, which is really easy to dodge just by walking around it. I found if you dive, you do get knocked back most of the time, so that was a little weird, and it does send you flying if you get hit by it. You also cannot stun it out of the charge, but you can stun it while it's shambling, which was kind of weird. And then the second super dangerous attack is Meat Spin. This is a ridiculously fast spin combo that will cook you up even if you're wearing heavy armor, so just slam your stim button if they get a little too close for safety. Next up, we have the new Stingray Jet. It has an insanely cool animation when it's flying in, but its audio cue is lower priority than most things, so sometimes it can get drowned out and sneak up on you if you're not like paying attention to the sky. I also recommend trying to keep track of what's happening in the air sometimes. They are fairly rare to see, but if you miss it, it can one-shot you if you're not careful. I found that if you do dive into the attack, you only take 1 tick of damage, so that lets you live most of the time if you're caught in it, but you should try and avoid it altogether. The animation start for this attack is fairly long, so it's only really dangerous when other enemies are nearby distracting you, and just diving or walking out of it is fairly easy if you're ready for it. You can also kill this thing with any kind of AP3 or medium penetration weapon, and I had no problem blasting with the Scorcher and the laser cannon. But the flat out best weapon for taking these down is easily the Wasp. This thing was already the best elite hunting backpack weapon for the squids, and now with even more overseers and the jet, it's an easy lock-in for me, and I found it only took like 3 rockets from the canister to take the jet down. Sometimes I blasted the whole thing if I felt like it. It just is what it is. It's a vibe check. Also, this crash animation is so cinematic that this is one of the like peak enemies for the game in me right now. Moving on to the Crescent Overseer, though, it dies just as easily as the regular Overseers, and slightly strafing to the left or the right will let you dodge almost all of its mortar shots while being free of thought. You just have to watch out for the direct shots, because they do quite a bit of damage. They also die the same as the other Overseers and have multi-stage armor, so if you're shooting out with light penetration, blasting the leg or the chest is the fastest way with those, but if you have medium peen, ripping the head off is just super satisfying. As for the Harvester, it's good to break down again, because a lot of us just haven't seen it in a while, and it is fairly imposing, to be completely honest with you. So these are all of its advanced stats, and all of these guides are posted in my Discord for every single enemy. I'll be getting the spawn seeds as soon as we have access to them, and as we get more info on the new enemies, I'll make sure to update those guides too. I've also just been trying to make sure that this Discord has a ton of value for you guys every single update, so just select a role and you'll be able to see everything that you need to, and honestly, I just hope this helped you out. So, all the Illuminate shields, doesn't matter about these guys to the other ones, are weak to rapid fire weapons, so just be prepared to rip the shield off of stuff before you start blasting it. And if you want to prevent it from regenerating, you can shoot either the top or bottom horn off. Just don't shoot at the glowing eye. This thing's a huge bait, and its real weak point is the leg joints. Any medium peen weapon can rip through these like butter, but I think my personal favorites for this right now are either the HMG or the laser cannon, and there isn't really anything more satisfying than like counter beaming them. And when a whole bunch of them get called in, being able to have infinite ammo while kiting for cover and dealing with the other threats just helps a lot. Its big attacks to avoid are its beam, which most of the time you could just kind of lay down or stand still to completely avoid. And if you get too close, it will try to electrocute you, but it doesn't do a ton of damage. So it's not something that you should really worry about unless you're in light armor. I also put together a quick kill priority list based on the most dangerous enemies, because Illuminate are only really strong when they combine their numbers together. Flying Stick Guy is always the highest priority because he can just instantly kill you with the burst even in heavy armor, and he throws grenades at you, which are super annoying. So always make sure that you focus these down first over anything else, no matter what. The Stingray is next up for me. Anything that can one-shot you or push you out of cover, like just disrupting you in general, like forcing you to move, I think is very dangerous, because you're not playing on your own terms at that point. And I found like if 2 or more of these things showed up, things can snowball very quickly out of control. Number 4 is Harvesters, because they are super disruptive, and when they have other things pushing you around, the beam gets a lot more deadly, because then you can't just stay still to avoid it. They also die super fast if you focus them down, so it's worth taking them off the map when you can. Then it's Fleshmobs for me. I know they can disrupt you, and they run at you, and they push you out of your safe spaces and get you killed, but I don't really find them to be like super lethal or dangerous with how easy it is to dodge the charge. Next up for me is Crescent Overseers. I don't think they're super dangerous until there's like 3 or more of them, and then that's like a massive problem when there's 3 or more of them, right? But you can just kind of leave them up until the more dangerous enemies are dead, and again, they die just as fast as the other Overseers. The Flying Watcher is next up. It's just kind of annoying, and it'll zap you. I think that the flashing light, maybe this is the highest priority because of the pink light, to be completely honest with you, but it dies so fast that you could mostly ignore it. And if you do want to cancel the call-ins from happening and you blast it first, they'll never be able to beam any enemies in. Finally, the Voteless are mainly there just to soak up damage, but you can easily just throw grenades at them to deal with them the majority of the time. And they play the same role as Scavengers, where they're just there to melee you and like disrupt your shots so that you can't take out the higher priority targets. Just make sure that the zombies don't surround you and you'll be just fine. Now, when I was streaming, I had a lot of questions about like what my favorite gear was to take in with them, and a couple things really surprised me. So I already went over the Wasp as my like go-to backpack weapon right now. I think that its elite hunting feels amazing, and you really don't get to use the Wasp a lot of the other time. The lock-on can be fairly annoying if there's too many elites on screen, and the Fleshmobs can eat like 4 rockets sometimes. But I think that if we were to talk about my favorite support weapon right now, the changes with the HMG just to be able to like full ADS and beam everything down feels really, really good. And the laser cannon, because lighting a lot of this stuff on fire with the changes to fire feels amazing. Plus, I'm still learning the enemies because they just came out, so having a supply backpack gives you all the extra resources you need to deal with everything while you're learning about it. And then when it came to primaries, the Scorcher, the Eruptor, the Purifier, and the Crossbow were all big standouts for me that made the game go a lot smoother. The big PP primary that surprised me over anything else, though, was the Scythe. I think this might actually be one of the best primary weapons in the game after you get it to level 13 and unlock the double heatsink. This thing literally just lets you keep blasting forever and increases the shot uptime by so much that you can clear hordes of Voteless with it. But I was also obliterating the meatballs with it too. And like the rate that it catches things on fire, it just feels really satisfying to use. And that combined with its regular damage lets you cook up like all the zombies no problem. And then when we played the Oops All Lasers game between this and the last pistol, it just gave me 100% uptime on outgoing damage. And for me personally, my favorite sidearm right now on the Illuminate is the last pistol. Priming the meatballs with it and just like lighting them on fire and then switching to your primary to finish them off just feels insanely good. And if you do use it to kill stuff, you look super polite when you do it. It looks pretty silly when you're like walking and blasting with it, but it just feels really solid with the fire changes. Grenade wise, I'm heavily leaning into gas again because it is the best horde clear grenade. You can use incendiary grenades, but I just felt like being able to rot out hordes of Voteless zombies felt really good, and more so just stopping the Overseers and meatballs from dogpiling onto me was really nice, because just having that extra time to think about what to do and who you're going to blast next is, honestly, I think that's more important than anything else. But if you have any favorite gear that you think I should try out, just let me know. I think that with the weapon attachment update, a lot of things just feel way better to use, and more importantly, they're just way more fun to use. I think we'll be finding like really fun, awesome combos for probably like a couple weeks to come, because the best thing about this game is the spaghetti code. So there's going to be some like crazy combination with everything. And for me, I think the best part of the Illuminate has always been that you don't need anti-tank. I'm happy they didn't change that. And that way I could just focus on my most fun loadouts possible, which are like the ones where I just get to blast with a machine gun or lasers or something, which, by the way, I think that Oops All Lasers for me was definitely my favorite overall loadout. It was just insanely cool. So that's a massive tip from me, is just enjoy yourself, because this invasion is just getting started. You don't really have to metagame super hard. It's just more about and just killing the things in the coolest way possible. And my last final tip is make sure that you keep your eyes open in your ship and look for the little things.